Her name was Roxanne Wood. In 1987, she was a young wife, a loving sister. On February 19th, she and her husband Terry, married 5 years, met after work at a restaurant and then drove separately to a bowling alley to meet friends. Around midnight, Roxanne decided to call it a night. He followed about 45 minutes later. When he walked in, he found Roxanne on the kitchen floor. She had been beaten with a frying pan and her neck cut. Detectives later discovered the killer had pulled a fillet knife from the kitchen drawer. Investigators called it a brutal, savage murder, and suspicion immediately turned to Terry. He had been the last to see her alive. He asked for a lawyer. He got belligerent with first responders. Police noted there was no forced entry. Terry said they'd been having trouble with the back door lock. Rumors swirled about both Roxanne and Terry having extramarital affairs. Detectives thought jealousy might be a motive, but there was no proof, and the case went cold within months. For decades, Terry lived under suspicion. Neighbors whispered. Strangers taunted him with a nickname, Slash. Even some family members doubted his innocence. Then, in 2020, Michigan State Police decided to try again. They sent the little physical evidence that had been collected to Identifinders International and their consultant, Gabriela Vargas. Vargas built the killer's family tree from distant DNA matches, stretching back to the 1700s. She traced it to a couple born in the 1920s who had 3 sons. 2 were quickly ruled out, but the third stood out immediately. He lived near Roxanne's home. He had a history of violence. Back in 1979, he had broken into the home of a school teacher, pushed her down, and attempted to sexually assault her, fleeing with her purse. A week later, police pulled him over for a traffic stop. Her credit cards were scattered across his front seat. He pleaded guilty to burglary and deviant conduct, sentenced to 14 years, but he served just 7, and 4 months after his release, Roxanne Wood was murdered. His name, Patrick Wayne Gillum. Police put him under surveillance. To confirm the DNA was a match, they collected a cigarette butt he flicked from his truck. It was not. A shocking turn of events. It seems they had lost sight of that butt when another car passed by. So they tried again, this time leaving no doubt as to who tossed the butt. An undercover trooper watched him smoke a cigarette and toss the butt. The trooper collected it as evidence and sent it to the lab. It was a perfect match. In February 2022, just days before the 35th anniversary of Roxanne's death, Gillum was arrested. When questioned, detectives showed him Roxanne's photo. His hands shook. He said he couldn't remember. "If I did that," he told them, "then I'm a monster." 2 months later, he pleaded no contest to second-degree murder. At age 67, Patrick Gillum was sentenced to a minimum of 23 years in prison. He will not be eligible for release until 2040. For Roxanne's family, justice had finally arrived. And for Terry Wood, after 35 years of whispers, taunts, suspicion, and the brutal loss of his wife, the truth of his innocence was finally revealed.